This photo is fake. It's a rather giant F-U. That's not the type of language, folks, we usually get from within inside Buckingham Palace. That's not the type of language courtiers working on behalf and closely with King Charles and Prince William usually choose to put in the public domain. But Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have gone too far this time, and the picture...
While Harry begged for sympathy on live TV, Meghan fired back with a silent bombshell, a solo Instagram post so tone-deaf, even Buckingham Palace reportedly froze. No caption, no context, just filtered glam and cold detachment. And insiders say it wasn't careless, it was cruel.
That Meghan posted yesterday, with no words, simply her husband and the 2 children, so soon after that interview where he attacked the royal family, where he claimed there was an establishment stitch-up, and when the delusional freak even suggested that people actually want him dead, has been a step too far. So we're going to get analysis from the Royal News Network and its editor, Brittany, in just one moment. But first, let me take you through this Daily Mail article by its royal editor, Rebecca English, which notes the royal insider's furious reaction to Meghan's Instagram salvo. Just hours after Meghan's latest post dropped, one royal insider, Rebecca English, reports lost no time in letting their feelings be known. Well, that's a rather giant FU, isn't it? They remarked to me, she reported. Featuring an idyllic image of Prince Harry walking through the gardens of their Montecito home, daughter Lilibet on his shoulders and son Archie's hand in his, its timing was far from accidental. That's the one thing the Duchess of Sussex does not have in common with the royal family, knowing the power of a well-timed image. Amid what it tells us in the continuing shockwaves of Harry's media tsunami on Friday is clear. Sod the lot of you. He doesn't need the UK anyway. And Brittany posted on this, Meghan Markle can't even muster up a comment for her beleaguered husband. She must be furious about his legal bills and disastrous interview. Newsflash to the cosplay royals, no matter how cute your kids are, no one wants to pay for your security. You're on your own. Oh, and by the way, this photo looks faked too, or at least seriously manipulated. Royally Sage made the point that there are blurred lines in some places and sharp lines in others. This photo is fake.
Let's be honest, this wasn't some cute family update. Meghan's perfectly timed post came hours after Harry broke down on national TV. While he opened up about trauma, cancer, and reconciliation, Meghan posted like she was launching a perfume ad. The message? Unbothered, unapologetic, palace aides say it felt like a spit in the face. Not just to Harry, but to the monarchy itself. Was this a power move ... or just raw contempt dressed in couture?
Astonishing 30-minute chat to the BBC from California, where he is now based, came without any warning to Buckingham Palace or the King, who has been having cancer treatment for over a year. The outburst came hours after Court of Appeal judges ruled out Harry's bid for taxpayer-funded armed protection that he lost when he quit royal duties in 2020. He told the BBC that verdict was a good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up and blamed the royal household for influencing the decision to reduce his security. Moments before the broadcast, sources close to the King had told The Sun of Charles's frustration that Harry's supporters suggested his father doesn't care about Harry's family. Insiders had also suggested a possible way forward between the pair depended on Harry's reaction to the court loss. Minutes later, they got their answer as Harry again raged against the state, the royal household, his father, brother William, and stepmother Camilla. Speaking before Harry's TV meltdown, the source told The Sun, "The King is at heart a loving and generous man. That love has been sorely tested by this case and so many other issues over recent times, but there is now a chance for his son to move forwards rather than dwell on past grievances. From his father's perspective, the door has been shut by necessity while this painful issue played out through the proper judicial channels, but it has not been locked forever, nor the key thrown away." So Brittany, that's where Buckingham Palace stood before the interview. Then Harry goes on the British Bashing Corporation. Very interesting. He chose the BBC given their previous interview with Princess Diana. Martin Bashir, William's furious with the corporation as a result. He went on the BBC, Brittany, and says this.
There have been so many disagreements, differences between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left. Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But, you know, there is. I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
But Brittany, there was a chance of reconciliation, and that interview threw it all away.
It definitely did, because what Harry did, of course, is go on and on and on about how this is basically all his father's fault and in part the government's fault, when Charles really doesn't have any control over this. Ravik is the one who determines who gets security and who doesn't. And Harry seems to think that just because he's a prince, he's automatically entitled to full-time security protection whenever he wants, in any country he wants. But that's not the case. There's a lot of royals out there with titles who don't get this level of security, and this was always going to happen to him. And so in reality, this whole thing is just a giant temper tantrum, because he's sort of getting hit with reality, which was that this was always going to happen. Harry and Meghan were always going to get their security stripped down at some point. And he just seems to cruelly, I think, blame his father as if his father doesn't love him, want to protect him, and those sorts of things, when this is an issue of state. Taxpayer dollars are expended to help protect the royals, and the government is responsible to those taxpayers to justify who they're giving this security to. And it just can't be Harry and Meghan. They're not important enough to the system anymore.
Royal insiders say Harry's interview was meant to be a turning point, a reset, a chance to earn back public favor. But Meghan, she stole that momentum with a smirk and a filter. Reports say the palace was speechless, calling the Post embarrassingly self-serving, and honestly, what kind of wife does that? Was this a calculated image grab, or is Meghan just making sure Harry never shines too brightly again? Either way, she made it about her again.
Very interesting to me, and I watch coverage of the royal family as much as I watch the royal family itself, is that the language is changing, Brittany. There is a real turn from within the palace. It's almost like, okay, Harry, you're going to play dirty. We can play dirty too. Because it's not just the FU briefing to the Mail. They're also using this word, which I like a lot, especially in these circumstances, gaslighting. And they say here that it's the withering verdict on Harry's truce-ending broadside, as they tell Rebecca English of King's Pain, and that the royals will now never forgive him. Now, let me just remind everyone, the way the Daily Mail works, I worked there, of course, for a good couple of years before launching Outspoken. The Mail will only take official briefing from via the palace. That is how it works. The head of King Charles's media operation, Tobin Andre, was previously deputy editor, a very senior executive at the Daily Mail. You know, I like just being honest with people, Brittany, about how it all works. I believe the media don't like to report on all of those links, but I think it's important that I tell people the truth about how these situations work. So trust me, this is coming directly from the royal family. And this is how the article reads. At the end of the day, it's his truth. And when it comes to recalling his childhood as he sees it, he has every right to say what he experienced, they said. I still maintain, for the sake of the family, his family, he should never have written that bloody book. But I also can't entirely disagree with his decision to do so. But even those more sympathetic to his cause believe his latest legal battle, and in particular last night's extraordinary BBC meltdown, has crossed a line. Harry's decision to fight his father's government in the very courts that dispense justice in the monarch's name has been more than a financial and PR disaster for the prince. It has proved to be a personal catastrophe that has driven more of a wedge between himself and Charles than any backstabbing memoir or tell-all television series. The monarch, I am told, has effectively been too fearful of speaking to his son for the past 3 years in case anything he said was used as part of Harry's case, thereby sparking a constitutional crisis. Charles has also found it particularly hurtful that sources close to the prince have gone so far as to suggest he could get to see his grandchildren again if only he were to step in and reinstate the family's security detail full-time in the UK. And of course, Brittany, it was a bribe. It was an absolute bribe. And I will back up that reporting, and regular viewers of Outspoken will know I have reported quite literally for years that the reason why Charles and William initially cut contact was because they were so terrified of their comments either being used in court or being used in the media, being leaked to people. Remember at the time, Brittany, it was like Gayle King and Oprah Winfrey. There was like a direct line to those two and Prince Harry, or more likely Meghan. And even after Prince Philip and the Queen's funeral, Charles and William, and how shocking is this, Brittany, they would not be on their own with Harry. He wanted to meet one-on-one. They refused because they knew there had to be another witness there. So in case Harry said, oh, Charles said something racist, or, William threatened this, the other one would be able to back them up and say that didn't happen. So this isn't a new thing, but I guess the point is once Harry actually turned this into a legal case, not versus a newspaper, Brittany, not versus an individual, but versus the king's government, it ratcheted up the potential importance of why Charles just couldn't have that contact.
Let's not act surprised. This is the same Meghan who turned Harry's mental health doc into a spotlight fest. The same woman who buried his military honor moment under a podcast promo. And now, while Harry cries on air, she flexes on Instagram. Coincidence? Please. Meghan's PR game is ruthless, and Harry, he's become little more than a stepping stone. And the real question is, has he even realized it yet?
There's actually a point in the interview, let's take a look at it actually, where the BBC interviewer, who I have to say I thought did a really terrible job. She was so sympathetic to Harry. There was no difficult follow-up. It was just like, oh, I've got a royal in front of me. I'm going to go along with his narrative, whereas actually nothing was off limits, we're told. So she needed to challenge and question and poke holes in the argument in a way that Oprah Winfrey didn't do, in a way that Tom Bradby didn't do, in a way that Anderson Cooper didn't do. But again, it's the BBC. We know why Harry chose the BBC. It was always going to be softball because the BBC is trying to get back on side with Harry because of the fallout over the Diana Panorama interview. Anyway, have a look at what happened when she asked very specifically in regards to...
Father is ill with cancer. Will you continue to visit him alone without the family? Where does this leave things moving forward? The ability of your children to see their grandfather?
Life is a precious thing, and I'm acutely aware of the fragility of that. I can only come to the UK safely if I'm invited. There is a lot of control and ability in my father's hands. Ultimately, this whole thing could be resolved through him, not necessarily by intervening, but by stepping aside, allowing the experts to do what is necessary and to carry out an RMB.
I mean, Brittany, the guy's totally delusional. Delusional because he can use whatever word games he thinks is really clever, and trust me, there's nothing clever about Prince Harry, but it would be exactly the same thing. It would still be Charles interfering in a process that a monarch is not expected to interfere of, thus creating a constitutional crisis. It was always untenable. There was another part of the interview, Brittany, where Harry said, well, I was told by everyone that I was going to win. I'm so shocked. And it's like, that shows you you're surrounded by nutters and yes men who are using you and making money off you because you've got rid of everyone who in the past would have told you the truth.
Exactly. I mean, you even think of his security situation. It's like if you inflame his paranoia, I mean, he'll pay you forever. And I'm not saying that's what they're actually doing, but Harry is just, I think, so unaware of that sort of reality. And then he claims to say, well, I value life, or we all value life, or whatever, but he just seems to not value his actual biological family's lives and their interaction with his children. He just seems to want to keep them away. And he's completely a hypocrite because he says, well, I can't come to the UK and get security unless I'm invited. Well, they've been invited plenty of time to things and they don't go. So that's another, you could say, lie there, because he could have taken his kids to the coronation. They would have been protected under the apparatus of the broader security effort for the coronation and could have been able to attend, maybe view things from Buckingham Palace and those sorts of things. But no. He had to fly home immediately to go and see his family. So again, I think he's completely lying there. It's complete BS. And Harry is just being, I think, very cruel to his father in so many ways here.
Of course he is. And Brittany, such an important day, not just for the United Kingdom, but for the Commonwealth and actually the whole Western world. The UK has come to a standstill on this bank holiday for VE Day. And just look at this incredible picture, which is currently splashing on the Daily Mail. A salute to heroes. King, Queen, William and Kate watch red arrows fly past from Buckingham Palace balcony with George, Charlotte and Louis as millions across Britain honor wartime heroes on VE Day. Now, Brittany, we know that Harry would be absolutely desperate to be there.
This wasn't just disrespectful, it was strategic. A wordless post that shouted everything. I don't answer to Harry. I don't answer to the crown. I answer to no one. So what's next? Is Meghan laying the groundwork for a solo career? Or a solo life? Her silence spoke volumes. And the palace is still recovering from the blow. If this is how she acts in support, imagine what her exit might look like.
But of course, he's not. And he's not because, as you say, he's trying to prove a point. It's not actually about security. He could have come to something like this. Okay, he wouldn't have been on the balcony, Brittany, but he still could have played a role. And maybe if he had maintained good relationships with the family, they would have thrown him a bone and given him some sort of formal role on the day. But he didn't. And I think when you look at these gorgeous pictures, especially of William, Catherine, and the family today, he's not really a big loss, is he?
He's not. And I think actually that is what's really bothering him in many ways, is that it's becoming so abundantly clear that although he's left and there is a little bit, I think, of a vacuum of another younger royal couple or royal representing the UK, however, the future is secure. George is just a little more than 6 years away from being an adult. And so everybody is going to move on to the Wales' kids, especially as they get older into teenagers. There will be so many crushes on George and everything from young girls. And so this is a family that has moved on and is not desperately clinging to Harry. And I think Harry really thought that if he left, that they would just be clamoring to get him back. And they're not. They've completely moved on. They're showing a very united front, and the royal family is solid. And although, again, I think they could use another younger royal member who's currently able to be a working royal, at the same time, we have a solid cast of amazing royals working. Sophie, we have Edward and Camilla and Anne, of course, and we also have the Duke of Kent there as well. And the Wales' kids will be adults here before too long. So Harry has definitely missed out. And the royal family, at this point, I mean, I'm sure in a personal capacity, they miss him, but they have well and truly moved on when it comes to the future of the monarchy.
Brittany, let's have a look at some of the best moments today, because actually before they ended up on the balcony, there was a different role for the royals, and it created some really lovely moments like this.
A huge number of events reflecting back on the important 80th anniversary of VE Day. We're just seeing some pictures of the King here, and also the Prince of Wales, and also the surprise guests that we hadn't expected. So alongside the Prince and Princess of Wales, we also saw Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Of course, for William and Kate, it is always very important weighing up what events the children should be seen at. I think today, for them and for the family as a whole, it was integral that they were there. So in a way, making that point that they continue to want to reinforce is that the next generation really needs to hear for themselves from those veterans who were there 80 years ago, who witnessed the celebrations, but also witnessed the sacrifice of the Second World War. And yeah, it really was the royal family gathered together. We had the King, the Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, their children. We also had the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Princess Anne and her husband, and the Duke of Kent, all there. And I think what was especially touching, and we spoke about this, was they were interspersed with the veterans, the most important people here on this day.
And we can see there the King.
Because it probably will be the last day, sadly, the last one of these major VE days where we have the incredible veterans there. Then the pomp and ceremony with the balcony moment, Brittany. This is when they emerged. And Brittany, it is all building up to that moment of the fly past, which is just so amazing. I think we should just take it in.
Red, white, and blue. And the smoke hanging over London there as the King and Queen have taken that great salute from the Royal Air Force of yesteryear, the Lancaster and those aircraft, which have continued to say, we salute what was given to us in 1945, the immense privilege of peace, as the national anthem is played at Buckingham Palace.
Oh, Brittany, what did you think?
It always gives you chills every single time. I've been in that crowd twice for the coronation and the Jubilee back in 2022. And it is just so amazing to be there. So amazing to see all of them on the balcony. I mean, I still miss a larger balcony, but I think the royal family is strong. They're showing a united front. It was so great to see them interacting, especially with the veterans. Catherine seemed to have a wonderful conversation to the gentleman seated next to her. And so Charles also had a wonderful conversation with the woman seated next to him. And so it seemed like there was just a lot of love going around there in that particular instance, and a lot of appreciation for those who gave their lives to service and those who were impacted by serving during the Second World War. So I'm so excited to see the royal family out there. I wish I could be there, but I couldn't this time, but so exciting again to see everyone. And it's such a good representation of the monarchy and its future.
This post wasn't a mistake, it was a message. And maybe not just to the royals, maybe it was aimed at Harry himself. The firm may recover, they always do, but what about the marriage? What about the brand they built? If this is how Meghan handles unity, what does separation look like? Let me know what you saw in that post, because clearly, this story isn't over, not even close.